Beijing Jinsong, the grand palace, stood under a dramatic sky. The ritual chamber pulsed with mystical energy. A voice declared, "The ritual is ready. Awaiting your command, General Li Chol-su." Standing with authority, Li Chol-su responded firmly, "Good, proceed immediately." The scene shifted, unveiling his true identity, eunuch Li Chol-su, the shadow ruler behind the puppet empress of the modern Ming Empire. Li Chol-su wasn't just powerful. He was infamous, the worst villain in history, his name spoken with both fear and awe. With a mere gesture, he bent rulers and nobles to his will, every shift in power tracing back to him. A smirk formed as he embraced the truth. That's who I am. The empire was his chessboard, and he moved the pieces. His influence crowned the once insignificant third princess as emperor. Some claimed he could make birds fall from the sky, yet one thing remained beyond his reach, a fact that haunted him. A flash of frustration crossed his face as he admitted it. He couldn't enjoy a good time in bed. Just as he was in the midst of his ritual, a sudden commotion erupted. "You old fool." A voice rang out as the door crashed open. A young woman in regal gold stormed in, her face a mix of shock and fury. "Why are you trying to leave this world, old man?" "Stop this ritual at once," she commanded. Empress Yuanhua, the very ruler Li Chol-su had placed on the throne, was not pleased. Facing him in the dim chamber, she scoffed, "Is the union of yin and yang that important to you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "What am I lacking? If it's wealth, if it's power, I'll give you as much as you want," she declared. But even as she spoke, there was a desperation hidden beneath her words. She just wanted the protagonist to stop this ritual. Li Chol-su had decided this wasn't about power or loyalty. No, it was personal. Why am I so obsessed with sex? To others, absurd. To him, everything. From my past life to now, his mind screamed. A virgin for 50 years, the legendary eunuch, master of politics, untouched by desire. It all began before he was Li Chol-su. Once an ordinary man, his fate changed in an instant. Bam, hit by the infamous reincarnation truck. Dying at 28 was bad. Reincarnating? Manageable. Waking up as a 12-year-old? Annoying. But at least he wasn't reborn as a bug. Then, things got worse. Just when he thought he had a fresh start, fate spat in his face. He was kidnapped by a slave trafficker. And not just any trafficker. No, that would have been too easy. Instead, he met him. A monster who didn't just sell men, he castrated them. The screams of his victims echoed in the night. Before he could fight back, his fate was sealed. He did everything, rewrote history, crowned an empress, just for a cure. He mastered martial arts, reached the peak of strength. If anyone could fix him, it was that legendary physician. But even the greatest doctor bowed. Creating something from nothing is impossible. The physician softened the blow, telling the empress, "I understand your noble intentions for your servant," but the message was clear. Damn it, what was the point of power, wealth, or strength if he could never reclaim what was lost? That's why he made his final decision. He would reincarnate. A new body, free from fate's cruelty. Countless wives, endless indulgence, only the most stunning beauties. His eyes gleamed. "If it's not that, I won't be satisfied." But just as the ritual peaked, "Old man!" Empress Yuanhua's furious voice shattered the moment. In eyes burning, "I won't let my own father die like this." He hesitated, for the first time in years. Was this his greatest triumph, or his greatest mistake? Maybe it was their bond since childhood. To him, she wasn't a ruler, not a woman, she was family, and family couldn't stop him now. A robed figure warned, "General, this ritual is forbidden out of 199 die." The weight of it all bore down on him. Was this really the only way? Living like this, better to die. With unwavering resolve, proceed with the ritual. The forbidden technique activated, power swirling. He had it all, wealth, status, but none of it mattered without that. The energy consumed everything. If I can be reborn, then silence. A soft breeze, birds chirping. A voice called out, "Little one." He woke, vision blurry. Where am I? A kind old man reassured him. But then, this bastard! He recognized him, Wang Sang, the traitor who sold him to the palace. But Wang Sang was supposed to be dead. Urgent check. My manhood? Relief. It's still there, but something was off. The fake kindness, the innocent wrist check, it was all a setup. And that smirk, Wang Sang was done for. Why, so you can kidnap me again? Cut off my manhood and sell me as a eunuch? Oh, he snapped. No hesitation, no mercy. This wasn't a fight, it was an execution. Wang Sang tried to play dumb, too late. Blood was already spilling, 50 years of suffering, betrayal, and power without happiness, and now he was free. That last moment, sunlight, fresh air, this was his second chance, no longer the eunuch from before. Now he was reborn. LMAO, dude really went from revenge mode to I will live for sex in seconds. And the new life begins. After exacting revenge on Wang Sang, 2 months passed. Now Li Chol-su faced a new trial, scaling the freezing joint mountain. It's freezing to death. Every step was a battle against the blizzard. His breath misted, limbs stiffened, but he pushed on. I could collapse any moment. But this pain? Nothing compared to his past suffering. If enduring this meant reaching his dream, so be it. If pleasure was all he wanted, a few coins at a bar would do. But no, that wasn't enough. His goal wasn't indulgence. It was reclamation, a life without regrets. He didn't suffer 2 months of hell for meaningless thrills. He wanted more, stunning beauties, passion. Not just lust, but true satisfaction. A life where hearts and bodies connected. Yes, that was the ultimate indulgence. But such a life required power. To turn fantasy into reality, he needed influence, a legendary reputation, and only one path led there. Before, he prepared treasures and martial manuals for reincarnation. Now, that was irrelevant. He already knew the future. Life was just a script to follow. With martial prowess, modern knowledge, and careful planning, he could reshape the martial world. His lips curled into a wicked grin. Then, uncontrollable laughter echoed atop the mountain. Wait, isn't this exactly how eunuchs laugh? Shaking off the thought, he marched ahead. His destiny awaited. His ultimate goal? Harem King. Li Chol-su, at least that's what he believed. The stage was set. The joint clan would witness his rise. In a thundering voice, "Are you there?" Inside a quiet tea house, an elder sipped his tea until his peace was rudely interrupted. His eyes narrowed. A child? In this freezing weather? Impossible. Yet, as the wind howled, reality set in. Someone had actually climbed this treacherous mountain in the dead of winter. That someone was now his problem. Li Chol-su stood before the joint clan's gates, breath misting in the cold air. He straightened his back and bellowed, "I, Li Chol-su, lost my parents to robbers," a line as dramatic as his ambitions. "And one day, I vow to avenge them through 1,000. Please accept me as a disciple of the joint clan." And thus, his legendary, self-proclaimed journey officially began. The joint clan wasn't just any sect. It was a bastion of martial might, a sanctuary for those seeking to push past human limits. It held untold secrets of the Jianghu, guarding its honor against reckless newcomers, like a certain overly enthusiastic one. Chol-su charged forward, his breath heavy, his determination unshaken. Thud! From a distance, a stern-looking master observed him. "Climbing Joint Mountain alone in winter? Do you value your life so little?" His voice boomed against the icy wind, but Chol-su, brushing snow off his face, simply grinned. "If I can enter the joint sect, what else matters?" His passion burning, he yelled, "Please accept me as your disciple." The master narrowed his eyes. "Humph. Show me your arms and hands." Without hesitation, Chol-su thrust them forward. A faint glow shimmered over his skin, an untapped energy stirring within. The master's expression shifted, interest sparked. The natural energy is pushing impurities out. He studied Chol-su's trembling fingers, sensing something unusual. "Did you climb the mountain using the grounding technique?" Chol-su blinked. The master observed him carefully. "The grounding technique, it's not just for stability, but it enhances core strength as well. You've learned it and scaled this mountain, so you're not without talent." His gaze softened slightly. "Did your parents teach you?" Chol-su nodded eagerly. "Yes, that's right." But inside he smirked. "The truth is, I learned it because it's great for stamina in the long run." The master's face grew serious. "Very well. I am John Yong, leader of the Gongdong sect." His mere presence commanded respect. "Normally, several steps are required for initiation." He paused, then smirked. "However, since you have potential, I'll allow your entry." Chol-su's heart pounded. "Follow me." As he stepped forward, a victorious thought flashed through his mind. It's all going according to plan. The Gongdong sect was on the brink of collapse. They had no reason to refuse a disciple. With a determined grin, he clenched his fists. "But I won't let my guard down." He followed Master John Yong into the sect's courtyard, taking in the sight. "This is excessive." The sect was larger than expected, but many buildings lay in ruins. A battered sect, a true dark horse just waiting to rise again. He chuckled inwardly. Not bad. If history holds, this could be the perfect storm for me. The master halted, snapping Chelsea from his thoughts. Before we begin, there's someone you should meet. A figure approached. She is the senior disciple of our sect. Chelsea's smirk widened. The more chaotic this sect is, the better for me. He tightened his scarf, concealing his excitement. I'll rise to prominence before anyone notices. His mind raced, wielding a legendary blade, standing above all challengers. But before he could indulge further, Huya! A figure stepped forward. From today, he is your fellow disciple, Li Chol-su. A sudden gust swept through the courtyard. Whoosh! Chol-su shielded his face. Ah, what a snowstorm! The wind howled, a shadowy figure emerged, radiating an icy presence. Tap! Their footsteps echoed. Chol-su swallowed hard. This person! Before him stood a youth with radiant features. Blue eyes shimmered, his presence almost glowing. Nice to meet you, fellow disciple. Chol-su froze. Why are you so good-looking? Boom! A dramatic shockwave exploded in his head. His past life flashed before him. He knew this guy, but he was completely different in reality. Panic gripped his heart. The dazzling disciple tilted his head. You don't look well. Are you sick? Chol-su snapped back, pale and sweating. No, I'm fine. But deep inside, things were not fine. The disciple smiled warmly. That's a relief. Let's get along like brothers. A chill ran down Chelsea's spine. Damn it. He's nice too? This is bad. The disciple extended a hand. Shall we go? Panic shot through Chol-su. Hold on. His new brother clasped his wrist. There's so much to show you. The world spun. Huh? Whoosh! A powerful force yanked him off the ground. Ooh-wah! Wind roared past. His arms flailed. Stop! Terror twisted his face. I don't want to be touched by you! He flailed desperately. Please let go, Hung! The older disciple blinked. Oh? Silence. Then his expression softened. Sorry, did I scare you? His voice was gentle. It's my first time having a disciple. I got too excited. Chol-su's heart still pounded, but seeing the sincerity in those bright blue eyes, guilt crept in. Ah, no, it's fine, Hung. I overreacted. He lowered his head, his body relaxing, but inside, chaos. Stay calm, Li Chol-su. You can't leave now. The realization hit like a hammer. He was trapped. Chol-su forced a polite smile. A good relationship with Yu Jin-wei is important. He clasped his hands, bowing. I apologize for my rudeness. His heart raced. Meanwhile, the elder gazed at the snow-capped mountains. He murmured, sometimes strong winds blow, but perhaps the joint sect's winter is ending. His breath misted in the cold air, but his heart was warm. I hope Chol-su and Jin-wei become friends. A memory surfaced, 10 years ago. A shivering orphan, eyes filled with hunger, and an unbreakable spirit. It was around this time when I picked up Jin-wei. The elder's gaze softened. A lost child who became a warrior. But fate had bigger plans. In these frozen mountains, a single hope remained. Jin-wei is the key to reviving the joint sect. The road ahead was perilous. To restore the sect, Jin-wei must enter the martial world. He will face warriors, forge alliances. But there was a secret, one that could change everything. As cherry blossoms swayed in the wind, the truth was revealed. Jin-wei was not a he. Beneath the warrior's mask stood a woman. Through Chol-su, she must learn to guard her secret. A life of deception, a fate bound to secrecy. Would the world ever know the real Jin-wei? Protagonist lay restless, thoughts churning over the day's events. His first day in the joint sect weighed on him, but Jin-wei's presence bothered him most. Hours earlier, they had exchanged formalities, accepting their new roles. Jin-wei had introduced him to the fallen sect, his sincerity clashing with the protagonist's irritation. He guided the protagonist through the ruins, sharing the sect's tragic history. The Red Demon sect's sudden attack had left chaos, yet the sect endured. The protagonist's irritation faded as he sensed Jin-wei's deep connection to this place. These ruins weren't just history, they were resilience. Now he understood why Jin-wei wanted to share it. Acknowledging Jin-wei's words, the protagonist hesitated, uneasy with their closeness. Jin-wei noticed and held back, sensing it wasn't the right time. Despite the awkwardness, the protagonist brushed it off, saying mistakes weren't a big deal. He showed real interest in the sect's history, especially when Jin-wei told it. Jin-wei saw the shift. A bridge could form between them, but patience was key. Things seemed smooth. Jin-wei reassured him and tension eased. But the protagonist underestimated Jinwee's enthusiasm. An arm suddenly draped over his shoulder, his face burned red, mind spiraling into panic. Instinct took over, he screamed. Jinwee, startled, quickly apologized. The protagonist was shaken. Physical contact was for grand moments with beautiful women. Had years of discipline nearly crumbled? Collecting himself, his thoughts turned to Jinwee, a prodigy, the pride of the joint sect, praised across the martial world. Yet despite his fame, Jinwee treated women like mere stones on his path. Rumors spoke of it, but now, feeling his overwhelming presence, the protagonist finally understood. His mind raced. Could it be? Was Jinwee truly uninterested in women? Is he gay? Whispers resurfaced, rumors of palace days, castration, and strange desires. The protagonist shook his head violently. No, that can't be true. But I'm not gay, he internally screamed, as much to himself as to the world. His eyes drifted to a tool. Curiosity gnawed at him. I kinda want to use this, he muttered, frustration creeping in. He glanced down. Why does my little buddy look so defeated? Fists clenched. Kegels aren't enough. Is it time for jelking? Desperation took hold. Jinwee, I'm sorry, but I'm destined to be a stamina king. You won't get my ass. Silence. Then, kya! The night shattered with a scream, and madness continued. Under the serene moonlight, a frustrated sigh broke the silence. Ha! It's frustrating. A young woman sat outside, her arms crossed as she muttered to herself. Why am I like this? Her mind replayed the events of the day. I've committed 2 rudenesses to a newly arrived disciple today. The young woman smiled wryly, exhaling to steady herself. I was just happy to have a new family. Maybe too happy. Even if I can't be a good example. A voice interrupted her thoughts. If you tell me the history of the joint sect, I'd love to hear it too. She turned to see a familiar figure in the courtyard, his gaze warm and curious. The night's tension eased as she recalled the kindness she'd received. You must have been surprised and troubled, she whispered, meeting his gaze. Yet you still chose your words carefully for my sake. She clenched her robe slightly, lost in thought. I want to get a little closer to Chelsu. Is this what it feels like to have a brother? A gentle breeze carried the scent of cherry blossoms as she smiled, warmth filling her heart. Next time, I hope we can be close enough to embrace without hesitation. As the night passed, a new day dawned, bringing a shift in atmosphere. Yay! The young man cheered, hoisting a pot. Cleaning's done. Life carried on, but an unspoken bond had formed. The young man sighed, surveying the kitchen. I expected this, but it's painfully poor. Shelves creaked under dust and neglect. It felt ready to collapse. What am I even doing here? He shook off his doubts, determination taking hold. To become a martial hero and make my name, I must impress the master and senior. His eyes burned with resolve. If it's come to this, even scrubbing a single grain of rice or vegetable will be done with my utmost effort. With a dramatic stance, he raised his hands. Today we salute the great master of obstetrics, Arnold Kegel Sr. The door burst open. A voice roared, Junior? What are you doing in the kitchen? Caught off guard, he screamed. As the senior entered, the young man straightened up in a panic. Did you arrive, senior? He stammered, hastily adjusting himself. The senior strode in, glancing around. Did you prepare everything for breakfast yourself? I came just in case, the young man muttered, still nervous. A pause. Then a nod of approval. Yes! The youngest should take initiative in such tasks, he declared, gripping the rice basket, struggling to maintain his composure. The senior smiled warmly. Seriously, I've never seen anyone as quick and capable as you. How commendable! The young man, flustered yet proud, suddenly found his thoughts drifting. Wow, even in this situation, he looks that good! Damn, he's really handsome! Frustration flared. If I were even half as handsome, I wouldn't be suffering like this. Shaking it off, he spoke. Losing my parents forced me to grow up fast. Sorry if acting alone bothered you. His own vulnerability caught him off guard. No, I wasn't being sarcastic, the senior replied, flustered. I'm also an orphan. I just felt a sense of camaraderie. I meant your maturity is admirable. Why has this guy been apologizing so much since yesterday? He thought to himself. Is he planning to advertise himself as a pushover? To his surprise, the senior stepped forward. I'll help. I have some experience with vegetables. Huh? The young man blinked. What kind of senior actually helps their junior? Looking at him, the young man thought, this guy is really attached to his sister. After all, the legendary Jin Wei originally had a sister, not a brother. The young man's thoughts drifted as he recalled a legendary beauty, the beauty that would one day be called the best in the world. He dismissed the thought. That sister was a distant future. Right now, Jin Wei was his only peer. Smirking, he reconsidered. Maybe I can play along for now. Turning to his senior, he grinned. Then supervise me, senior. I'll fetch fresh water. Got it, the senior nodded. As he dipped his hand into the cold water, he reaffirmed his resolve. I refuse to get close to you, Jin Wei. His true desire lay elsewhere. What I want is only the name of the senior who will become famous in the distant future. His ambition burned. I'll seduce every woman drawn to his name and make them fall for me instead. Lost in thought, he lost focus. A loud creaking sound echoed through the room as a heavy object lost balance. Ah, too late. His body lagged as a large container wobbled. Jin Wei gasped. Junior, that's dangerous. The container crashed, water and debris spilling everywhere. He barely shielded himself but was left dazed. Ah, he groaned, rubbing his head. Reality had hit, literally. The impact left him stunned, his vision slightly blurred. As he tried to steady himself, a warm voice cut through the haze. Are you okay? He looked up and his breath hitched. Bright blue eyes filled with concern met his. The afternoon light framed her like a dream. I? Yes, he mumbled, still dazed. Before he grasped the moment, her arms wrapped around him, steadying him. Thump! Thump! His heart pounded. The moment felt unreal. How beautiful is this future? Flushing, he realized this warmth, this closeness. He hadn't prepared for it. She held him with ease, her smirk playful. You're lighter than you look, she mused. His heart skipped. Was it her voice, or the way her eyes gleamed? Do I just need to keep my butt safe? He wondered, suddenly uncertain. A gentle breeze carried earth and sunlight, but all he felt was their dangerously close proximity. As he struggled to steady himself, she reached out, her bright eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? She asked, her voice gentle but firm. Before he could react, he lost balance again. Instinctively, she pulled him close. Warmth spread between them. His heart pounded. Was it the fall or something else? You're lighter than I thought, she murmured. A soft floral scent surrounded him. It was calming, yet made his heart race. Realization struck. Wait, no! Too late. Their faces were dangerously close. Collision. Tension thickened. A turning point or just another misstep. Where are you touching, Senior? Startled, she pulled away, face burning. I'm sorry, Junior. I wasn't trying anything. Don't misunderstand, she pleaded, panicked. Misunderstand what? He snapped, glaring, his face just as red. Stop blushing. You're making this even weirder. Desperate to change the topic, she blurted, I'll make the meal. Just rest. Before he could respond, she fled, leaving him stunned. He narrowed his eyes, watching her exaggerated retreat. Is she trying to assassinate me or what? He muttered, scowling. Yet, despite his frustration, the warmth of that moment refused to fade. A senior sect member, having witnessed the chaos, nearly fainted. If our master sees this, he gasped, his face pale. His mind spun with terrifying outcomes. He'll scold me. No, he might make me meditate for days. Sighing dramatically, he accepted his fate. Back at the training grounds, the tension between the two had somewhat settled. She blinked in surprise. He stood firm. As the youngest, I'll handle everything from now on. A brief silence followed before she chuckled. How reliable. For a moment she hesitated, as if weighing his words. Then, with a small nod, she softly replied, All right. She cleared her throat. Well then, I'll leave it to you. Yet as she turned away, a small smile tugged at her lips, one she refused to acknowledge. He raised an eyebrow. Still what? She hesitated before sighing. It doesn't feel right leaving everything to you. He smirked. Then supervise me. I promise I won't mess up. She blinked, momentarily caught off guard by his sincerity. Then, with a small nod, she murmured, All right, but don't overdo it. A breeze carried the scent of spring, and for a fleeting moment everything else felt distant, just the two of them, wrapped in the quiet dance of falling petals. The young disciple took a deep breath, steadying his emotions. His expression softened as he muttered, That's fine. 2 months later, the scene shifted to the Grand Marshal Hall of the Joint Sect. The air was heavy with the anticipation of an important gathering. A lone figure stood at the center, their presence commanding the attention of all. A voice echoed through the hall. What do you think is the true strength of martial arts? Some say there's nothing like inner energy, and they consume all sorts of elixirs. Others say outer strength is true power and constantly swing their fists. True strength lies in balancing inner and outer forces, neither too much nor too little. Only then does martial arts reach its greatest potential. The young disciple, kneeling before his master, clenched his fists, absorbing the wisdom. Therefore, you must never take shortcuts in your training. Do you understand? Without hesitation, the disciple shouted, "Yes, master!" Satisfied, the master nodded. "Good, now I'm off to see your senior. Make sure not to slack off." As he turned to leave, the disciple lowered his head respectfully. "Yes, sir." But as soon as his master was out of sight, a smirk crept onto his face. "Heh, even if he hadn't said that, I have no intention of slacking off." His eyes gleamed with determination. A superior body means superior vitality. What's the point of a scrawny guy having a big thing? He clenched his fists, ready to push himself beyond his limits. If it's for the art of intimacy, all this hardship is just sweet. His training was now fueled by a personal goal. Sweat dripped onto the ground as he strengthened his stance, each moment reinforcing his resolve. Today's horse stance feels especially refreshing. The results of my 2 months of training are finally showing. He exhaled deeply, feeling the progress in his body. A thought crossed his mind. Was this what gym junkies felt like when they increased their dumbbell weights? Just then, a booming voice interrupted his thoughts. Memories surfaced. Back when he was a eunuch, no amount of training could erase that androgynous feeling. But now, he was different. This time, he would surpass those limits. Protagonist reflects on his past struggles. It was all because of that cursed eunuch martial art. He recalls the Gihua treasure technique which he had mastered. A vision of a burning battlefield flashes before his eyes, an uncontrollable surge of power that led to widespread destruction. His expression hardens, his determination burning like fire. Just watch. This time, I will live the true alpha male life. But before he can continue his training, a familiar voice calls out, "Junior! Junior!" His senior appears. "Senior, why are you here?" With his thoughts momentarily interrupted, he takes a deep breath. His journey is far from over, but this time he's forging his own path. As the sun sets, bathing the temple in gold, he gazes at the horizon, lost in thought. Wow, it's already time. The day had vanished faster than he realized, consumed by training, discipline, and ambition. Yet something gnaws at him. Not enough. His fists clench as he curses time's fleeting nature. I must perfect my physique as a lustful warrior, but time slips away too fast. His mind races. Too much to do, too much to achieve. He can't afford to fall behind. Beside him, his senior watches him closely. She says nothing, but her sharp blue eyes seem to pierce through his restless thoughts. Under the moonlit sky, the young warrior continues his relentless pursuit of strength. Late at night, at the sect's secret mountains. Despite a long day of rigorous training, he refuses to rest. His body aches, but his determination burns brighter than ever. Well, if something's lacking, I'll just fill it secretly. Determined to push himself further, he sprints through the mountain path. Every breath is sharp, every step deliberate. Cardiovascular endurance is crucial, to not get tired in the pleasure gardens. His true goal isn't just combat prowess, it's endurance in all aspects of life. He chuckles at the thought, but remains focused. Yet a lingering worry creeps into his mind. The only thing I'm worried about is Master. If he finds out I'm doing extra training, he'll forbid it immediately. He knows the risk, but stopping isn't an option. I can't give up my night runs. His feet pound the earth as he accelerates. Regular training won't make me a vitality king. Pushing past exhaustion, he dashes forward, ready to defy limits and seize his dream. Another secret night run begins. Let's get started tonight with a powerful run. His breath is steady, his resolve firm. But just as he takes off, something catches his eye, a shadow lurking behind a tree. Wait. As he slows to investigate, a chill runs down his spine, a footstep, a presence. Before he can react, his foot catches a rock. Gah! His heart pounds as he stumbles back, barely keeping his balance. Senior, why are you here? His plans for an uninterrupted night of training have just been thrown into chaos. His senior steps forward, arms crossed, her piercing gaze fixed on him. I wondered what you've been sneaking out of Chungwon Pavilion for. He stiffens as she continues, her voice calm yet firm. I see, you were doing extra training. I can't just stand by and let you overdo it. Frustration surges through him. Damn it! Why now? He clenches his fist, cursing his lack of awareness. His eyes dart to her, tension rising. If I leave him alone, he'll definitely tell Master. The consequences would be severe. If I stop my night runs, my endurance will drop. His jaw tightens as a graver thought strikes, which means less blood flow to the penile tissue. He grits his teeth, determination burning in his eyes. In conclusion, he can't let her stop him. He takes a deep breath, lowering his head slightly. I apologize for worrying you, Senior. His voice is steady, carrying weight. But I have my reasons for this extra training. His senior looks at him, puzzled by his determination. You and I are different. The moon casts a glow over the silent night, emphasizing the contrast between them. While you grasp 10 concepts when taught one, his hand clenches into a fist. I'm a fool who forgets the one I'm taught. The frustration in his voice is clear. He isn't gifted like her. His grip tightens. I hate the idea of being cast out and wandering the streets. The fear of failure, of losing his place, drives him forward. His voice wavers slightly, eyes burning with determination. And I hate knowing that if I don't push myself to the limit, I won't even reach your feet, let alone stand beside you. His senior watches him, her expression unreadable. The moonlight reflects off her sharp gaze. Have you ever heard? The early bird catches the worm, Yi Jinhui? She steps closer and he tenses. You, so upright to your core, could you really tell Master after hearing my resolve? His silence stretches between them. She moves even closer. Panic surges through him. She's closing in. I need more tears to win her over. Forcing himself to look fragile, he sniffles. I don't want to be cast out. Desperation fills his voice. His final card is played. As his voice trembles with feigned distress, his senior suddenly pulls him into a tight embrace. Tears glisten in her eyes as she whispers, I'm sorry, Junior. I didn't know you were struggling with this much. His eyes widen in shock. What? His mind races as she pulls him closer, her warmth pressing against him. He groans, feeling her crushing grip. Shh, don't cry, she soothes. But inside, he's screaming. Let go! You crazy man, are your arms made of steel? His carefully planned act has gone horribly wrong. He struggles, but her grip is unyielding, trapping him in despair. Under the moonlit sky, he stands with clenched fists, frustration clear on his face. Damn it, he mutters, staring at the serene waterfall before him. But then, squish. His eyes widen in shock. Squishy! His mind freezes, caught between confusion and a staggering realization as he's enveloped in an unfamiliar softness. In the next scene, Jinhui's past resurfaced. The ground laid in ruin, bodies of sparrows and a crow scattered across the blood-soaked ground. Among them stood a lone figure, his dark hair matted with blood, her eyes reflecting. The screams of those around him echoed in his ears. Monster, someone cried out in terror. The word cut through the air like a blade, and the young girl stood frozen as the accusations continued. You're a monster! The voices of fear and hatred surrounded her, but then a voice broke through the chaos, a calm, reassuring voice. There's no need to listen to the words that slander you. The girl slowly turned, her weary eyes meeting the gentle gaze of a man clad in black, his presence exuding wisdom. He extended a hand, offering a simple rice ball. The man in black knelt under the golden sunlight filtering through the trees, his expression calm yet firm. He extended the rice ball toward the hesitant girl, his voice steady and inviting. Why don't you follow me? He asked. The scene shifts to the present. Under the moonlit sky, a conversation unfolds. Jinhui consoles the protagonist. No matter who you are, once you've entered the joint sect, you are part of this sect's family, my eternal junior. Under the moonlit sky, the bond between the two young warriors deepened. So, if you ever feel troubled, whenever it may be, the senior disciple reassured, her voice firm yet gentle, you can lean on me, just like now. She held the protagonist close, a quiet promise in her embrace. I will always stand by your side and help you. For the first time since entering joint sect, I am feeling sympathy for my senior, the protagonist thought to himself. The protagonist felt bad thinking, Yu Jinhui, who not only masters all martial arts in harmony, but can also perfectly imitate any technique after seeing it once, turns out to have gynecomastia? His face twisted in shock. Oh man, who's going to tell him those are real? The protagonist's mind raced. A woman might call it a chest, but with a 99% accuracy rate, Master already confirmed Yu Jinhui is a man. He reassured himself. No way Yu Jinhui is a woman. The scene shifts to the next day at the training field. As of today, your external martial arts training ends. Master's words rang with finality. Yu Jinhui and the protagonist listening intently. You've worked hard until now, Master says. The Master continued, Chol Sul, your foundational bones and physique are well developed, so let's reduce your external training and start internal martial arts. From the side, Jinhui spoke excitedly. Congratulations, Junior. Yes, the protagonist replied, but a thought surfaced. What's wrong with him? Despite the excitement of stepping into the realm of internal martial arts, a frustration that refused to subside. I'm happy to start internal martial arts, but I can't stand how annoying Yu Jinhui is. Just then a voice broke his thoughts. You don't look well. His master was watching him with a keen gaze. He forced a quick, dismissive response. It's nothing. Let's not dwell on useless thoughts, he reassured himself. I've got bigger problems than Yu Jinhui right now. Gathering himself, he bowed slightly and asked, Thank you, Master. But I don't want to reduce my external martial arts training. Master remained silent. The Master isn't wrong, though. Most who began internal martial arts kept external training minimal, just enough to maintain their physique. Their focus shifted, cultivating energy, mastering swordsmanship, refining footwork. But the protagonist couldn't accept that. He bit his lip, torn between logic and desire. Tradition urged one path, but his heart insisted. External training was the key to the ultimate physique that would captivate women. But even as he reassured himself, reality struck. No excuse could hide the truth. He was still worse than Jinhui. The Master regarded him thoughtfully. You refuse to reduce your external training? His calm, probing voice tested the depths of his resolve. Tell me your reasoning. The young man took a deep breath, his chance to be understood. Despite what my talent suggests, I'm actually slow. His steady gaze held no delusion. To support my seniors and rebuild the sect, I must work harder than anyone, Master. Doubt lingered, but he clenched his fists. Even if it's inefficient, I can make it work. Even with the same technique, greater strength wins. His vision sharpened. On the battlefield, his sword cut through all in its path. This was the future he had to claim, no matter the cost. That subtle difference. His sweat held value. Hard work never betrayed the steadfast. Like a nurtured seed, his efforts would one day bloom into something great. The image of success burned in his mind. The respect of his peers, the acknowledgement of his efforts, he would get there. Determined, he stepped forward. Please allow it, Master. His voice carried his conviction. His master studied him, eyes narrowing slightly. Is that truly a child's gaze I see? No hesitation, only determination. He's not like the others. His disciple forged his own path, so his efforts must be just as unique. The young man stood firm, awaiting his answer. The master's gaze lingered. Does Cheonso truly understand that his talent is merely average? There was a time when skill and talent alone dictated success, where the gifted soared while others struggled. But that era was long gone. Everything has turned to dust. Cheonso's path cannot be measured by ordinary standards. His stance remained firm, resolve unwavering. Training for pure talent must go beyond the common way. The master exhaled and reached into his sleeve, pulling out a small package. Take this. It's the formula for foundational internal martial arts. No side effects. Protagonist's eyes lit up as he bowed respectfully. Thank you. The martial world was unforgiving. The martial world is ruthless to those without talent. However, his master's voice rang out, firm and resolute. For those who dare to challenge, all paths are open. The master continued, I will grant you permission for additional external training. Furthermore, I will now pass on the So-Yang symbiote to you. So memorize the formula for the internal martial art that the elder gave you. Protagonist's expression hardened in determination. Yes, the master nodded, stepping forward. I will begin the Jin Godo now. Are you ready? Jin Godo, the infusion of energy into a practitioner's body. Protagonist's heart pounded in anticipation. Yes, he responded without hesitation. Hands moving with precision, the master placed a firm palm on the protagonist's back. I will infuse internal energy into your body and guide it as per the formula. Memorize the flow carefully. Protagonist closed his eyes, bracing himself as an unfamiliar sensation washed over him. A warm energy coursed through his frame, unlike the icy chill he once knew. Hard energy flows through my fibers, a sensation I've never felt before. Unlike the suffocating cold many described, this energy was different. It flowed warmly, expanding within him like a steady pulse of life. Golden light enveloped his body. The sunlight flows through my veins. Is this what it feels like? His journey into true martial cultivation had begun. A surge of power rippled through the protagonist's body as the energy settled within him. The warm, golden force radiated outward, stirring the very air around him. He gasped, eyes widening. This is Yang Qi. For the first time, true internal energy flowed within him. The transformation was undeniable. The master observed him with calm satisfaction. Congratulations on entering the realm of internal energy, Chil-Su. The protagonist's body tingled with newfound strength. For so long, he was defined by his limits. Now, he was something more. You're no longer a eunuch. A bright smile spread across his face, his heart soaring with excitement. At this moment, I have truly been reborn as a real master. His journey had only just begun. So exulted in his newfound strength. With a triumphant leap, energy surged through him. The weak eunuch was gone, reborn into true mastery. From the sidelines, a figure watched him closely, Yu Jinhui, her eyes glimmering with a quiet determination. As night fell, the atmosphere shifted. Beneath the cool glow of the moon, a serious conversation unfolded between Master and Jinhui at a wooden table. What do you mean by that? The Master asked. Are you saying you want to continue your external training, Jinhui? Jinhui exhaled, gripping her cup. Yes. Her grip on the teacup tightened slightly, the air shifting with unspoken depth. As a senior, Jinhui spoke with steady conviction, I want to lead my master. The master's lips curled into a rare, amused smile. Taking a slow sip of tea, he nodded knowingly. You've truly learned the art of camaraderie, haven't you? He mused. After a moment, he set his cup down and gestured lightly. Go ahead and do what you want. The night deepened, snowflakes drifting lazily as the grand structure stood under the moonlight. The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Jinhui, every step is a lesson. As the master stood by the window, his gaze softened. The cold night air brushed against his face, but his heart felt warm. Protagonist and Jinhui, so young yet so sincere about rebuilding the clan and martial arts. He sighed deeply, the weight of history and responsibility pressing upon him. Yet for the first time in years, he felt lighter. Now I can finally fulfill the previous master's wishes. The silent night was broken by the faint rustling of leaves. 2 deer were brutally killed in the forest. Near a hidden cave deep in the mountains, the air grew heavy with an ominous presence. The wind stilled, the trees stood frozen, and an eerie silence blanketed the land. Then from the shadows it emerged. A massive serpent slithered forward, black scales gleaming under the moonlight. Its glowing red eyes pierced the darkness, tongue flicking as it sensed an unseen presence. The beast had awakened.